Imagine there was a tool that could help solve world hunger, depression, and bring communities closer together. Now imagine if this tool was readily available to each and every one of us. The tool I'm talking about is your cell phone. It may be seen as one of the biggest distraction devices for our petty amusement, but the reality is, your cell phone can act as a catalyst for change in the 21st century. We've all heard the analogy that social media is like a drug, and we've seen the ads from the 1990s on how your brain is supposed to look on drugs. Something like 2 eggs in a frying pan. Have you ever asked yourself, though, what your brain looks like on social media? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you what your brain looks like on social media. We've all been here before, stuck for countless hours, sunken into our couch, watching YouTube, scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, watching through countless emails, to then wonder, what's happened? Where did our time go? One of the worst problems I see with the online sphere, though, is our relationship building skills. We have people trying to sell us on a constant basis without really offering us anything. They copy and paste the same messages to hundreds of people looking for their first sucker and who's going to buy their product. I live by the principle that the secret to living is giving, in the most simplistic sense. And as Friedrich Nietzsche said it best, he used a word. He called it Mitfreud. The English translation means joy. He said that it's easy to imagine the pain of others, but to imagine the joy of others and to rejoice at it is one of the highest privileges of our civilization. Wouldn't you agree that this is a great way of thinking and shaping our perception? I want to ask you a question. As we look at the internet era, do you think it's a coincidence that narcissism is rising and so is the depression rate? Or that anxiety is at an all-time high, yet so is our cell phone usage? We have access to so much information, yet it seems that we can't seem to find the right answers. I have an answer for everybody here that's not only going to allow us to bring communities closer together, but it's also going to allow us to put our egos in check. How many people in this room remember Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs from high school? If you recall, the top of the pyramid is where we're supposed to reach a point of self-actualization in our life. It's supposed to be the pinnacle, what we strive for, that's going to give us a sense of fulfillment. What if I was to tell you, though, that later on in Maslow's career, he actually discovered a sixth missing element, the key, the secret to the success in our lives? It was called self-transcendence. And in simplistic terms, it is the realization that we are one small part of a greater whole and should act accordingly. Thus, the secret to living is giving. The secret to living is giving. That's how you rid yourself of a self-centered ego. That's how you put everything in check. You give without any expectation of getting anything in return. And if you think about it, giving has never become easier, guys, with this thing right here in our pocket. I want to give you an example. We have access to the same information that medical students are using online for free, in most cases. We can watch lectures from some of the greatest universities in the world, like Harvard, on YouTube. The best part, and this is one that strikes my heart, is that you can start a business right here in the palm of your hands on your cell phone. It's absolutely incredible. Can you imagine if someone like Mother Teresa had access to the bandwidth of social media, how much more of a change she could have had? Can you imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. screamed, "I have a dream," and it was broadcast across all of our cell phones? How many more lives he could have touched? I'm not saying we're all guilty of this, but these tools are being highly underutilized. We have so much power in the palm of our hands, it's incredible. I know what you're thinking. I'm up here talking about giving back. You probably want a little bit of my story to wonder how I came to this realization. So I want you guys to have a laugh on me. I didn't get into university my first shot. I'm guilty of this. I was a C student in high school. I didn't want to learn about biology. I didn't feel like learning about calculus. Have a laugh on me on this one. I was that gentleman right there. I wanted a way to stand out. I also wanted to make a difference, and I guess that was my way of kind of standing out, pretending I was some goofy type of rapper. But my story was the same as everyone else, in the sense that we were going to university following the same linear path. Get good grades, get high test scores, join special groups. I asked myself a question because I was at a disadvantage. I was a C student, remember? So I thought to myself, what is going to make me irreplaceable? What is going to make me stand out? Clearly not that chain, but... So I asked myself that question because I didn't want to be another resume when we were pitching companies to get in. I knew that there were some very sharp people I was going to school with in university, but I needed a tool. I needed something as a means to stand out. And I discovered something. Everybody was paying to go to school. They were paying for an education, yet a large majority were paying attention to their cell phone and their computers and their laptops. So I saw something. So I started to write my first book when I was in second year of university. Going into my third year, I published my second. This allowed me to launch a successful brand online as an author and speaker. And as you may know, as a 20-year-old or a 20-something-year-old kid, it's hard to be taken as legitimate. So this gave me a backbone to stand on. On top of it, everyone said, you know what? Go join some special groups. I thought to myself, why go join groups? Why don't we start a movement? Why don't we build our own group, get everyone together? So we started a Christmas campaign called Cans for Christmas. And what it did, we fed thousands of people around Christmas time, similar to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. And we got everybody going on this movement train, encouraging people to give back. If you didn't want to give money, give your time. And it created some momentum. The sad reality is, though, is that when I graduated university, a large number of my peers, we studied law. They didn't get into law school. Out of the 25 or so that had applied, maybe 5 got in. And these were smart students, smart kids. But they had absolutely no distinguishing factor. They had high grades, same groups, same LSAT score. They weren't allowing their creativity to shine bright. And I might be called somewhat of a shameless promoter, but I used my cell phone at the time. So by the time I graduated university, I had a bigger online network than most people that went to Ivy League schools, filled with CEOs, executives, and recruiters. And what I did was when I seen all these students not getting in, and they're sitting there like, oh my God, I said, here, I'll connect you with some people that might be able to give you a job. That was my way of giving back. And on top of that, I was looking for information. I was hungry for it. So what I did, I started an online television show where we interview high-level performers. And what that did was it allowed me to cut the line to meeting top-level CEOs, executives, and people, and then take that content, package it, and give it out to everybody else for free. And that's how my story came to be. But I want to talk about something else, and not myself, but something that has inspired me immensely using the internet, which is absolutely incredible. There's a company. They're called Kiva. They're a microfinancing and loaning company. Their mission is to alleviate poverty through lending. So for as little as $25, you can completely change someone's life. They have funded over $1.25 billion in loans to over 3.1 million people. Absolutely incredible. The best part, everyone wants to talk in business about a return on investment. They have a 96% repayment rate, which is absolutely incredible. They're helping low-income entrepreneurs, individuals, and students in over 80 different countries around the world. They have immensely inspired me in my career to show you what these devices, the internet, has offered as a tool of giving back. My question to you then is that if you knew for as little as $25 that you could completely change someone's life, would you do it? Do you think that would be a lot more fulfilling than just some of your likes on social media? I think so. I think it would be a great way to start things. Going off of this point, though, I want to show you guys some statistics that I find shocking, and they break my heart in one simple answer, and you'll see why. Over 5 billion people on this planet have a cell phone. They have access to one. Over 2.77 billion people on this planet are using social apps like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or emails. Yet over 3 billion people on this planet live on $2.50 a day. And it's absolutely heartbreaking that we have so much technology and innovation in our hands. And 3 billion people are living on $2.50 a day. I don't know about you, but I want to frame a reality, and this is something that I've seen on a daily basis, and I think we take for granted. We could all be walking down the street in Ottawa, downtown Ottawa, perhaps Toronto, and you're walking down the street, and you see a homeless person sitting there. And we think to ourselves, well, they must have put themselves in that situation. I don't know them. Maybe I'll give them $1, I'll give them some money, but it might go to drugs. We don't know their story. We don't know who they are. But we really don't think we can help them. We can't solve that problem. Then you're walking down another street, and all of a sudden you see another homeless person, and another, and you see one with an animal, and you almost feel worse for that animal than you do that living, breathing human being. They are no different than you or I. They have a brain, body, bleed and breathe, just like you and me. But why is it that we feel we can help their animals? We want to help their animals more than these people laying on the streets. And that's something that breaks my heart. We always believe, we lead with the belief that it has to be these political figures or these influencers that are the ones that have to push change. My question to you, though, is just because you have more money than someone else, does that mean you're living a richer life? Or just because you have more followers online, does that make you more legitimate than someone else? At the end of the day, every single one of us in this room is an influencer. You harness the same tools these governmental figures are using to push agendas. These same tools these celebrities are selling people with for free, right in the palm of your hands, in your pocket, which is absolutely incredible. And I think we have to lead with the mentality that if I were to fall, I would want someone to pick me up. Because it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, or whatever the acronym is beside your name. Our obligation is to help people. Because if we were in that seat, it would sure help if we could. In my closing remarks, I want to get scientific for a minute to show you how the root of our lives comes together. All of our lives started with a single cell. It was through that cell duplicating and giving of itself that formulated a second cell, and a third, and a fourth. And as this process continued, and these cells kept duplicating and giving of themselves, it now formulated our modern world, which proves at the root of our lives, our basis is to give, and to give ourselves to others. Thank you.